Welcome back to Word with Ty Brownlow. I am your host, Ty Brownlow, where no one is worthless, no story is worthless. And this is our Hollywood hustle, myth versus expectation. And today, my guest, Miss Taylor Marie. Let me give you a couple of words about her. Ambitious, loyal, strong, and courageous. Welcome to the show.
All right.
All right, see?
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We take care of our own.
I see. I'm not mad about it.
So, Miss Taylor Marie, where are you from?
Originally from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, Cincinnati, Ohio. You have New York on one side.
Yes.
You have Chicago on the other side.
Yes.
What would make you come up to LA?
I know, right? Instead of just living in one of those big cities.
Yes.
Los Angeles, I came out here for to pursue entertainment. So, want to be an actress, or I am an actress.
Okay.
And this is the mecca, quote unquote, for what I believe where I want to see my career blossom into. So, I decided to travel 3,000 miles away from my family.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, what sparked your passion to be an actress?
You know, it's really funny. So I'm a really weird person. And
Okay.
I know looking back as a kid that I used to want to be so many different professions, right? Like I was like, one day I want to be a lawyer, and then I want to be a doctor, and then I want to be a firefighter, and then I want to be a police officer. And I was like, looking back on it back then, of course, as a kid, you don't know, but my family and I, we're really tight. So I have a sister and I have a brother.
Mm-hmm.
And we would play like imaginary games, and we would act out a lot of scenes.
Okay.
Or professions. And so then I didn't know specifically that it was acting until I got older, and I was like, well, you clearly can't be a doctor and a firefighter and a police officer
Right.
all in one lifetime. I mean, it's possible, but I mean, that's too much. So
Too much time.
acting, becoming characters of those professions landed me to where I am today. So.
Okay. All right. All right. See, you have to have the imagination. You have to have it.
Yes, I'm a weirdo.
Nothing wrong with that. All right. So let's talk about women of color in film and TV.
Right.
How do you think Black women are portrayed?
Now,
Yes.
the best they possibly have been over the last, I would say, 15, 20 years. Before, you would see them in very small supporting roles, but there weren't many leads, and there wasn't a real definition of representation. It was very cliche, and now you see that there are actual projects where women are the leads and they are being characterized in a positive manner versus back in the day when it was either like a slave role or the ghetto friend or the person with the bad attitude. Now you see people, trailblazers like Kerry Washington, carrying a show, and you have, these writers, these directors, Ava DuVernay. You also have, I'm blanking out from Scandal.
Shonda Rhimes.
Shonda Rhimes. I mean, she is a trailblazer for what it means to be a boss ass.
No, you can say ass on the show, yes. This is my show.
A boss ass lady changing television for the better.
Okay.
So I definitely think it's better than it has been ever.
Well, as an actress, and as a woman of color, do you feel you contribute to that portrayal, or would you
Definitely.
change that portrayal?
I feel like for me in my career, I have noticed that I want to challenge, like I'm in an acting class, and I was in a different studio for 4 years. And when I first came into it, my acting teacher was like, well, you don't want to be that quote unquote stereotype. And I took offense to it at first because I was like, well, what are you saying? Is my black not enough? But then I kind of took it and I was like, well, yes, I could still play that role, but I could also bring my own flavor to any lead. I don't have to whitewash myself in the dialect. I think that we have to know the writing, the diversity in the writers' rooms helps for people like me because they can write in a sense of where I can portray being a powerful lawyer, but not sound so whitewashed. And I feel like I'm helping with that because I'm usually in these acting classes or in certain rooms, the only one. And so if I bring my style, then it offers a different personality or perspective to to certain characters.
That's very interesting.
That's just me.
Black woman magic over here, y'all. Y'all better get some. There's one out there. All right. So, what were some of your high expectations in moving to LA?
Oh my God. The first year I moved here, I thought, oh, you're going to be on a movie, you're going to book this role, you're going to book that role.
Right.
And no. I legit thought I was going to book thousands of roles, have a nice apartment, get a new car, not have to work a 9 to 5 or a regular job, so to speak. And yeah, none of that happened.
And you know, I've been hearing that from the
Yes.
other people that I've interviewed as well. But let me ask, like, where does that expectation come in? Like, where does that thought process come in?
Being naive, you know, you assume that it's gonna be easy because you look on TV and you're like, I can do that, but you don't see the hard work that goes beyond the camera. You don't see what that star or that lead has done prior to that. Those short films, those web series, those, you know, student films that they're all no pay, but you don't see the grind that's beyond the lens. And I think when you get out here, you get that reality of, oh, there are thousands of other women that look like me, that have the same talent, if not better sometimes, and you have to go into a room where they've already seen someone like you and then prove to them why you're the best fit. You don't get all that prior to being here, which is why I'm glad I'm here.
Gotcha. Okay, all right. I like that question. Okay.
It's the truth.
Well, no, and that's all I asked.
Yes.
Okay. So how did you develop your sense of community here in LA, and was it easy?
No, it was very hard for me, but I think it's my personality. I'm a Cancer, so you know, I'm very emotional.
Okay.
All
right.
No, I think what it was is I was so tight with my family that it kind of hindered me in a way of reaching out to try and develop friendships and a sense of belonging here, because I was always having one foot in, one foot out. Of like, oh, well, this is not really my home. Home is Ohio. And I never gave it, well, when I first got here, I never gave it a true shot. You know, I worked at a bar, I work in a bar. So a lot of those friendships were just made because I was working all the time, and then that happened. But then I got into my acting studio, and that's when I started to like really reach out, because I was like, well, you know what? These are gonna be my people. Like, these are my people moving forward. So I think getting into an acting studio helped with that development on the personal side, just because it is very hard. Being an adult moving here, and everyone already has established friendships, I realized the older you get, the less likely you are to kind of like shift from the norm. So it puts you in this situation where you have to force yourself to get out. And you have to. So I would say it took me about 2.5 years to develop a community, and it was more so me getting out of my own way. Like me being like, you know what, you have to go out. Like, you have to go to networking events, or go simply to a lounge, you know, or go out, like go to the park or the beach. Like, just getting out and being out of my own mind and weird personality.
Okay, that's all right. But see, you know, you want to be around other personalities like yourself.
Yes,
so
yes.
It just brings out more creativity.
Absolutely, because you could just falsely be like, oh, I'm going to attach to this person because I'm lonely. But then it's like, it's a catch-22, because if you're not really making a genuine connection, then what's the point? Because after a while, you're going to realize it's not truthful. It's not something that you even want to develop into something as a serious, you know, relationship, platonic, or, you know, even further. It's like, you have to know what's going to mesh with you. And a lot of times people are fake out here. Like, they'll be friends with you as a, what can you do for me? And if you can't do anything for me, then I'm gonna stop calling you. And I've run into that.
I've run into that as well. That's the
it's
just not too long ago.
Well, hey, listen, and how did you feel? Like,
you know what? Personally, it was somewhat of a relief.
okay.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, you know, like just a stressor that I don't really have to be worried about.
Mm-hmm.
And being from the Midwest like you, I'm used to a certain type of
Loyalty?
genuine yes. And when you don't get it in return, then, you know, as I say, you have to make an executive decision.
For sure.
So my executive decision was to just legislate it.
I know that's right.
So,
Get rid of
all right.
Not Matt Bushman.
Okay. Okay. So, what would you have done differently in your move to LA? If you can do it all over again, what's the one thing you would have done differently?
Save more money.
Okay.
Save more money.
Save more money.
Yes. Yes.
Won't save more money. There you go. Okay. All right. Yes. Please tell us why.
Oh my God. I don't even, can I tell you guys? I'll
Yes,
tell you guys
yes,
what I
yes.
moved out here with. I moved out here with a cool $3,500. And yes, $3,500.
See, okay.
35.
But you know what? When I hear 3,500, okay, I'm going to Texas. I have $3,500. Oh, you know what? You should be able to be okay for a good month or two.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
all right.
Here, no.
No.
Rent alone will eat up that in 2 months. So that to me, I didn't realize. I knew it was expensive, but I wish I would have done more research on average pricing of homes, or I shouldn't say homes, because I don't know, apartments, studios, 1-bedrooms, things like that. And then I would have factored in travel as far as like driving, gas prices, just the whole standard of living. Groceries, food is much more expensive. Going out, everyone is out more so than in the house. They don't really dine at home. And that will just, I mean, the first month, I think I went through like $500. And I was like, oh. And I was staying with a friend who let me she only charged me, she had a condo, 2-bedroom condo. She only charged me like $200 a month in rent. But yet I somehow spent $500. So if I could go back and tell myself, like, girl, what you doing? $200 a month? But yeah, $3,500. I think I would have saved at least 10 to 15 before I came. That's a good amount. 10, 15 is good. Because then I would have had a job lined up, and then that would have been easier. So I did have a job lined up, so I did that. What else would I have done differently? Not been so quick to jump into a relationship. I was in a relationship. Before I got here, I was single, but I first moved here, and then somehow I had desperate written on that forehead. I don't know. It's gone now, I can tell you that. But a couple of my friends were like, we're gonna put you on a blind date. And I was like, for what? But I went with it, and I think in hindsight, I was just lonely. And yeah, I wish I would have just tried to figure out me first, because I didn't know who I was when I first moved here.
Let me just add just a tad bit to that.
Sure, definitely.
And I think sometimes that's one of the things that I feel isn't spoken about as much, because, I mean, if you're moving anywhere by yourself, trying to make it or what have you, you're human just like anyone else, you know, and there are times when you're going to be lonely, you need a shoulder to cry on or what have you, and we're human. Sometimes, you know, our choices, they may seem right at the time, but
yeah, oh yeah,
it just takes the experience and time to, like, you know, manifest whatever's going to manifest from that situation. So trust me, you're not the only one. It's happened to a whole bunch of people. It's probably happening right now as we tape. So
right. See, and hopefully mine can save another human.
So going right into the next question. All right. So no, good segue. What advice would you give to a young lady of color following in your footsteps? There's another Taylor Marie out here right now watching this, like you're watching this, okay? Or you're taping this.
I would say, come out and focus on the craft. Everything else will come. The friends, the community. I would say if you're coming out here and you're serious, the first thing you need to do, secure a job, because you will need that. Find a good acting studio that you fit, and don't be so quick and so green to jump at every opportunity, because not everything is meant and good for you. There might be a scam around the corner. Really do your research. Really sit down and ask yourself, is this what I want to do? Because it's going to be a grind. It's going to be hard. You're going to cry. You're going to be depressed. But the real challenge is how you move out of that. So if that's all I can give to the world, I would say those are golden rules. My golden rules. Tay's golden rules.
Mindset. I mean, because at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. Like, you have to have the mindset to like continue to move on throughout everything else.
Definitely.
Okay, all right, man. But she's dropping. So, my final question, the question that the show is known for. What word best describes you and why? What's the one word that describes Taylor Marie?
Persistent.
Why?
Persistent. Because I moved out here when people told me, I can't believe we're gonna do that. Like, you know how many people move out for that same idea, and it never happens. I played soccer. One of the few blacks on my team, and everyone's like, why are you playing that sport? And I was like, I love it. A tough role that I can't seem to get, instead of just being like, you know what, that's not me. I keep going, and I realized that that's been my whole life. Is when the odds are stacked against me, I want to prove people wrong. I don't know if that's the competitive side of me or the athlete in me, but I think the idea of just keep going, you learn through all of that trudging. You really test who you are, and I think that's me in a whole. Like, I really am persistent.
Okay. Y'all heard it here first. I didn't say it, she said it. Okay, all right. So, look, I mean, if people out there want to get in contact with you, someone wants to send encouraging words to you or whatever,
Sure.
Tell the people back home, how do they get in contact with you?
Well, you can find me on IG, Taylor Marie Fowler. It's my whole name. If you can't find me, then I don't know what I'm doing. I'm wrong. But no, it's at Taylor Marie Fowler.
Okay, all right. Any shout outs? What's up?
Yeah, I want to say hi to my sister because I love her. No, she's the backbone of who I am too. So, and without her, she moved down here too. So, without her, I don't think I would be half the person I am today. So,
What up, sis?
yeah, what up, girl?
To your people back home? What up, people in Cincinnati?
Hey, what's up, Mom?
Okay, all right.
Okay, everybody else, but I'm just saying,
Right.
you know.
Well, I would like to thank you
Yes.
for being on the show.
It's been a pleasure.
And man, this has been Work with Ty Brownlow. No one is worthless, no story is worthless, and we out.